Hello darlings, I hope you've been well. I wanted to do a video about my eating disorder story. Psych. Whoever watches my eating disorder videos knows that I'm really against before and after photos, and I just kind of want to talk about the toxicity of eating disorder story videos on Instagram. I mean YouTube. If you actually do want me to talk about my story, I could do that, but just know I won't be putting photos of me at a low weight or any triggering content, because that shit is so normalised. The only person that hurts is the actual people with these disorders, and the only reason people are doing it is for the shock value, the clickbait, for the attention and sympathy of neurotypicals. And personally, that's not what I want to gain. I don't really want any sympathy. I don't want to spread stigmas that already exist just to, please someone without an eating disorder's idea of what an eating disorder is. Eating disorders are not a body type. What it took away from me, how it prevented me living my best life and all that, I'm fine talking about all that. But what I hate most about these eating disorder stories, first of all, it's always the same music. It's always the same formula. It's like a slideshow of someone who's fully underweight and then they just gain weight, and it's just people will post how many calories they were eating. It's tragic, and the only person that's hurting is the people with eating disorders. And whether or not we know it's hurting us or not is hard to say, because it's so subconscious. Eating disorders are a social disease as well as a mental illness, so it's easily triggerable by watching any kind of video or seeing a post on Tumblr in 2013 or whatever. People don't realise how harmful this awful stuff is until it's too late. All these videos do is just further perpetuate a stigma that already exists, that people with eating disorders have to look a certain way. You don't have to be underweight to have a valid eating disorder. This shit gets me all fired up, because it's just, I get so heartbroken thinking about all the young people that watch this stuff, because I was once a young person watching these stupid eating disorder videos, and I did not know the extent that they were harmful. They were drilling in my brain that you had to look a certain way to have this disorder. That couldn't be further than the truth. Just because I got to a low weight doesn't mean that made your or my eating disorder any more valid. And just because you were hospitalised and I wasn't, doesn't mean my eating disorder was less valid. If you want to know my opinions on the before and after photo more in depth, it's one of the first videos I've ever made, but I'm not gonna lie, I think it's kind of great. I made some great points, I can't lie, so I'll put it up. The main types of ones to come up are the ones where these women are using the most triggering content they can possibly put up. It's a photo of them looking really sad saying my eating disorder story, and then there's these really underweight photos of them, and then maybe one healthy weight photo. But what people don't understand is just because you're at a healthy weight doesn't mean you're healthy mentally. It's actually more triggering and almost more difficult to have an eating disorder and be at a healthy weight, because the world doesn't fucking understand that eating disorders are a mental illness, not a body type, not a diet, not a body type, not a trend. A mental illness. Can we stop? When 2021 comes around, can we fucking stop making eating disorder story videos? That shit is so 2010. And it doesn't help anyone. In fact, it triggers and it kills people. I know that triggering content kills people, because anorexia has the highest mortality rate of any other mental illness. Borderline comes close to it, but 1 in 4. Eating disorders are fucking deadly. You can die at a healthy weight with an eating disorder. You don't have to be looking emaciated to die with an eating disorder. There's this amazing video by What Mia Did Next, and it's her most viral video, and it's called The Photo Everyone with an Eating Disorder Needs to See. And it's very triggering, and it is very disgusting and heartbreaking and just sad as hell. The woman in this photo who was lying dead, she had bulimia and she was at a healthy weight. Not we need any proof that you don't have to be emaciated to die with an eating disorder, but we kind of almost do because of how these fucking eating disorder story videos, there's so many views, and you just know most of the people watching it are young girls or like pro-anners. There's one I saw that has 14 million views, and I remember watching it when I was younger, and like, just because you put a trigger warning doesn't mean that it's not going to trigger anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, photos of your body looking emaciated isn't proving anyone. If anything, it's proving that you still need validation, and you still feel like you need, maybe you still feel like you were never sick enough and you need that validation from an external source. Even if that validation you're getting means confusing, triggering, and sending out stigmas and misconceptions that already exist to 14 million people. Like, I'm not coming for anyone because I've had anorexia. Like, I know how fucking devastating it is and how it ruins your life. So like, I'm not coming for these people at all. Like, each of them basically have 1 million views. And this shit I used to watch all the time, and I used to watch it to purposely trigger myself further. And I'm not sure if the people were intending that to happen, the people posting them, but eating disorders are very naturally competitive. And you see this stuff and you automatically tell yourself, I'm not sick enough, I don't deserve help. And that's not the fault of the people posting these videos, but the people posting these videos need to understand that this is the way that eating disorders work and naturally exist. If someone's been hospitalised and we haven't, we think, oh, I'm not sick enough, time to relapse. Or if someone looks this certain way and you look healthy, you can't help but tell yourself you're not sick enough and you don't deserve help. Like, you deserve help as you are now. You don't need to be sicker to deserve help, because that in itself is indicative of sickness, you know? You don't have to look like the before photo, you don't have to be X amount of pounds, you don't have to have been hospitalised 10 million times, you don't have to have had therapy, you don't have to even have a diagnosis to be valid and deserve help. And this is the kind of misconceptions these videos show you, you know? Their rock bottom is always them in a hospital bed looking like emaciated. And when I was in my eating disorder recovery, it basically made me really hard to be with, and all my relationships were failing. I saw everything in my life as like an obstacle, and my relationship with my mum went really bad. I don't like blame her for anything she's done, because she was always trying her best, and like, it's a hard disorder to understand when there's so much misconceptions about it. You know, the Carpenters, like, I've forgotten the name of the main singer, but she was like, oh yeah, what's her name from the Carpenters had that. And I remember we had this school talk on mental health, and I might do a whole video on how schools need to stop with these talks, because most of the time they're doing more harm than good. This man came to talk about mental health in assembly. When he went to talk about eating disorders, the only one he mentioned was anorexia, and the person he made the face of anorexia was that woman from the Carpenter. When people talk about anorexia, their mind just goes to this fucking image of looking this way. Us with this actual disorder, neurotypicals as well, like, need to sort their shit out, but we need to stop putting out this idea that this is what an eating disorder looks like, because a mental illness has no look. You can't look into someone's brain. It's an invisible illness. You can't look at it, you can't see it. Like I said at the beginning, I will happily like do an actual video on my eating disorder story, but just expect loads of tears and loads of crying, like, but I won't make it triggering. I won't put before and after photos. I just wanted to put this video out here and like hope to God like some people change their perception of what anorexia and eating disorders are. Are we missing the fact it's in your mind and it's a literal mental disease? It's a mental illness. First and foremost, no one can see your brain. It's an invisible illness. These videos are showing people it's a visible body image disorder, when in reality, not all of us even have body image issues. I feel like a lot of people are missing that. And like, you know what, even doctors don't understand this. This is why the stigma is so fucking damaging. This is why these eating disorder before and after type videos are so fucking damaging. Even doctors believe these stigmas, like GPs and stuff. So sometimes they believe you do have to look a certain way to get help. 70% of us never get a diagnosis. I wonder why. Sorry if this video wasn't quite what you were expecting or wanted to see. I just felt like someone needed to do it, and it probably won't go anywhere, but it isn't as well known as it should be that it's a mental illness. I feel like some people know, obviously it is a mental illness, but they don't also know if it's not a body type. I'd love to know your opinions on these videos because they're so popular, like they literally have millions of views, and I'm sure loads of us were the ones viewing it when we were younger and stuff. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you sometime next week something. Sending all my love, and remember, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm just like some random girl who has experience with an eating disorder, so